This is why you always end up hurt, even when it feels like you chose carefully. It's not just bad luck. And it's not simply that men and women don't understand each other. What's really happening is harder to see. You're not just relating to a person. You're reacting to something much older. Something you didn't choose, but keep repeating. And until you see it, every relationship will begin with hope and slowly turn into disappointment. Because the problem isn't only between men and women. It's happening inside both of them. Much is said today about why men and women cannot live together peacefully. One side blames men, the other blames women. Each side feels misunderstood, accused, and quietly betrayed. And because the pain is real, the accusations grow louder. But in my experience, the deepest problem is not simply that men are bad and women are good, or women are bad and men are good. The deeper problem is that men and women often meet one another through unconscious images rather than through reality. They do not only speak to each other, they speak to old wounds. They speak to unmet needs. They speak to figures within the soul that were formed long before the relationship began. This is why the conflict becomes so charged. A simple disagreement about time, money, sex, work, attention, or loyalty can suddenly carry the force of something ancient. The quarrel is small. The feeling is enormous. Whenever this happens, something more than the present moment is in the room. I observed that a man often carries within him an inner feminine figure. I call this the anima. If he is not consciously related to it, he may expect a woman to carry it for him. He wants her to bring warmth to his inner coldness, feeling to his dryness, meaning to his emptiness, beauty to his deadened life. He does not merely love her, he wants her to give him a soul. At first, this can look like devotion. He admires her sensitivity. He feels alive in her presence. He says she understands him in a way no one else ever has. But if he remains inwardly undeveloped, the same woman he worshipped may later seem unbearable. Because no human being can permanently carry another person's emotional life. Sooner or later she becomes tired, complicated, separate. And once she stops functioning as his living bridge to feeling, he may call her irrational, overwhelming, demanding, or impossible. He does not realize that part of what he is fighting is his own neglected inner life. I observed a parallel difficulty in women. A woman often carries within her an inner masculine figure. I called this the animus. If she is not consciously related to it, she may expect a man to carry it for her. He must provide structure to her uncertainty, authority to her hesitation, direction to her confusion. He must know. He must decide. He must be stronger than doubt. At first this can look like admiration. She feels safe in his decisiveness. She is drawn to his force, his clarity, his movement into the world. But if her own inner authority remains unconscious, the same man she leaned upon can later seem disappointing beyond measure. The moment he hesitates, she feels abandoned. The moment he shows weakness, she feels contempt. The moment he fails to deliver certainty, he no longer appears human. He appears fraudulent. Again, the problem is not only the man, it is the burden that has been placed upon him. This is one reason men and women so often fail each other in marriage. They enter the relationship asking for more than love. They ask for psychological rescue. A man may ask his wife to mother his feeling life while still admiring him. A woman may ask her husband to father her uncertainty while never disappointing her. Neither task can be sustained. Then the marriage fills with accusation. He withdraws. She criticizes. He becomes silent and resentful. She becomes sharp and relentless. On the surface, they are fighting about dishes, schedules, tone of voice, money, or intimacy. But underneath, he may be experiencing her as the devouring mother, and she may be experiencing him as the absent or unreliable father. This is why so many couples feel they are having the same argument for years. They are arguing with figures much older than the marriage. Modern culture intensifies this confusion. Men and women now speak to each other through slogans, suspicion, and collective resentment. Some men hear every strong or independent woman as a personal rejection. Some women hear every flawed or uncertain man as a moral failure. One side calls the other toxic. The other side calls the first impossible. And all the while, projection continues. It becomes easier to fight a symbol than to meet a person. This is why shallow gender war thinking spreads so easily. It flatters the wounded ego. It says your pain is caused entirely by the opposite sex. It spares you the harder question. What have you refused to develop in yourself? This question matters greatly when people speak about masculinity and feminism. I do not believe maturity comes from humiliating one side for the sake of the other. Nor does it come from forcing men and women into dead caricatures. A mature man does not become smaller by learning to feel. He becomes more whole. A mature woman does not become smaller by developing clarity, judgment, and authority. She becomes more whole. When these qualities remain split, conflict becomes inevitable. Then each person secretly asks the other to carry what has been abandoned in the self. The result is disappointment. A man who has not cultivated depth of feeling may become dependent on female approval, then resent women for the power he has given them. A woman who has not cultivated inner authority may become dependent on male certainty, then resent men for failing to be gods. This pattern also appears in betrayal. Some men betray because they are addicted to the intoxicating mood of new feminine admiration. Some women remain with weak or deceptive men because the inner image of power is so compelling that reality keeps getting excused. Then years pass, pain grows, and each says the other sex cannot be trusted. But often what could not be trusted was the unconscious fantasy. There is an old image in alchemy of the king and queen sealed together in a vessel. If they remain divided, the work fails. If they destroy one another, the work fails. Transformation requires tension, patience, fire, and relationship. This is also true of love. A relationship does not become real because desire was strong in the beginning. It becomes real when two people stop demanding redemption and begin the slower work of truth. So what must be done? A man must ask where he has abandoned his own soul and expected a woman to deliver it back to him. A woman must ask where she has abandoned her own authority and expected a man to supply it flawlessly. Both must ask what childhood figure they keep meeting in the opposite sex. Both must ask where resentment has replaced curiosity. And both must learn that partnership is not built by winning the battle between men and women. It is built by withdrawing the ancient projections that make the battle seem necessary. Then something new becomes possible. A man can meet a woman not as a savior, judge, or threat, but as a person. A woman can meet a man not as a fortress, father, or disappointment, but as a person. Only then can love move beyond accusation. Only then can marriage become more than a courtroom for old injuries. And only then do men and women begin to stop failing each other. They stop asking for impossible things. They stop worshipping and condemning in the same breath. They become more human to themselves. And for that very reason, more capable of loving another human being well.